Have you ever been out on a date and had something happen that made you question whether you were with the right couple? Maybe they said something or did something that you didn't quite like, or made you unsure of where they stood. We're going to get into all of that today and talk about red flags in the lifestyle. Welcome to Swinger University. I'm Ed.
And I'm Phoebe.
We were inspired to bring this topic forward, something that's been in our backlog, and we've talked about red flags before, but there was a social media post recently that really resonated with us from Kate at Wanderlust Swingers. So we thought we'd kind of add our little bit about it and tell you some stories about things that had happened to us and kind of give you some insight into our experiences.
So let's start off with our story.
A while back, we'd met a couple at a Halloween hotel takeover. They were very nice. They were a sexy couple. And we said, we want to get to know them a little bit better. So we'd connected with them before the New Year's event and decided to have a little pre-party dinner and met them at a local restaurant.
Yes. Sounds really great, right? I mean, it sounds wonderful. What's the big deal, right? This happens all the time with people. So keep going with the story, because I'm curious on your take on how you tell the story.
Yeah. So we show up at the restaurant and I think they showed up on time. No, they were late.
They were late.
There's first red flag.
Ding, ding.
We were seated and eventually they did show up and we sent them a message to let them know that we'd already been seated.
And they were really late, like a good half hour, I believe. And I, at this point, was thinking,
they're not going to show up.
Good grief. We need to order and just get on, because the evening, there's timing involved, right? You need to go back, get changed, prepare. There's pre-parties and then the party of the evening. So, time is of the essence. Chop, chop. More fun to be had.
Right. So there we are. We're sitting in the middle of this restaurant, and I think we'd ordered drinks, but we hadn't ordered dinner. No, we did. We'd already ordered dinner. Like we were like, this is not going to happen.
Yes.
We just assumed they weren't going to show up.
Right.
So we'd ordered our meals, and the waitress was very accommodating. And of course, she said, oh, you have two people who are showing up, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. Our dinner arrives. Then the couple shows up.
Yeah. So now that's awkward and strange, because we were like, wow, we didn't think you were going to show up. We didn't say that, but that was the thought in my head, and probably very prevalent on my face. And now they're sitting there watching us eat. That's awkward. So our food is getting cold while we're trying to have conversation and not eat too much of our meal, because their meal is supposed to be coming. All right. Anyway, I'm already getting frustrated.
Yeah. And they sit down, and of course they order, but they're a little short with the waitress at this point.
They're very short with her. They take a while to pick and choose what they want.
Yeah. So they'd order some special things off the menu, but they had a lot of questions about it. And that's not unusual. I mean, everybody's got different dietary requirements. So it kind of makes sense that they're being a little specific about what they want and whether it's going to work or not. Anyway, They order and the food arrives. So they're sitting with the food and looking at it. And the first question that she asked was this under a heating lamp?
Who asks that?
They did, apparently.
I've never heard this question. So I'm shocked. And now it's starting to build, right? Because they're late. We've moved forward. Our dinner's getting cold. We're trying to be accommodating. They're having all these questions and considerations. And the server is speechless. She's like, she was taken aback. She was like, yeah, well, I think I could go check, but we do have heating lamps up there. So most likely it could have been And she says, what? The woman who asked that question, what did she say?
Well, if it's been under a heating lamp, then it has to go back to the kitchen because this is never supposed to be under a heating lamp.
Awkward silence. Like, what do you... Okay. I mean, we're not at a 5-star restaurant.
No, I mean, we're
at a very nice restaurant.
Yeah.
Probably a 3-4 star, maybe.
I don't know.
It wasn't cheap.
It's in the mall.
Well,
it's
make
not
it
the
sound
food court. I'm
make
going to
it
be more
sound
specific.
cheap by being in the mall. It's a
There's
pillar.
a bar. There's wood like really nice wood interior. People dress up for this. Like,
this is a nice.
It's a nice restaurant.
It's a very nice restaurant.
But it's not Ruth Chris. It's not, a $500 meal. This is not at the Four Seasons.
Right.
But it's a nice restaurant.
It's a nice restaurant.
It's a very nice restaurant.
So now the food goes back.
Right.
And now there's more awkward conversation, which was throwing me off because we'd had such great conversation before at a like a 2-star hotel diner where the diner was just on its last legs, needed to be poorly redecorated, and the food was crap. Yeah. And they were fun and had no issue with the food there. So
right. It was the Hotel Denny's. It wasn't a Denny's.
Right.
But it was
the equivalent of that.
Right.
So we're like, wow, who's
this couple?
Where did that come from when you were okay with Denny's, but now you're not okay with... Yeah, I'm confused.
It was very incongruous with who we'd connected with before.
Yeah.
Which...
They were replaced by aliens.
Which is a red flag for us, because here it is. We've gone through the whole, song and dance of like getting to know a couple, and then you have a second interaction with them and it's not the same couple. Like, this is bizarro behavior. Like, you think
this is the
been
whole
replaced by aliens, right?
Right. This is that whole conversation that people have with us about people. We find some people just aren't genuine, and we're like, what do you mean? Well, right. What explains that? Maybe they weren't genuine before, or they are now. Their real faces are coming out now. And it was just an acting job. Who knows? It was puzzling. So I've never encountered this in anywhere of my life, whether it's swinging or vanilla. So it was quite shocking to me. Okay, so second dinner comes, right? And the waitress was apologizing. She said it wasn't under the heat lamp. And I'm at this point mouthing I'm sorry to the waitress because she just looks really distraught.
Right.
And she's young and she just looked like she was about to cry. So now I feel bad for the waitress.
And it was worse than that, because it wasn't just this whole sending the meal back and her having to bring it out. Like that, you could kind of go, that's somewhat normal. Maybe it was something off. Maybe it was spicy. Maybe they'd included the mushrooms in the dish and the person had said, I don't want mushrooms.
Yeah.
They actually started getting rude and snippy with her.
That's right.
And very, very dismissive with her.
Yeah.
And that's when we started kind of apologizing for what was going on. And we felt very uncomfortable sitting there.
This is where I start racking up how much tip she's going to get at the end of the meal to compensate for their poor behavior. Because I'm like, oh my God, this poor woman.
Right. And so now this couple who we were trying to connect with and, build even better relationship with them. Now we're thinking in the back of our heads, holy crap, they're going to cost us more money because we're going to have to like over tip this waitress
poor girl,
to make up for their poor behavior.
Right.
It was really
disturbing.
Yes.
And then, so the meal comes and they don't even eat. They picked at it.
Right.
They spent, I don't know, $30, $40 on on each of their plates. And they just picked. Like, she didn't even eat. The woman who was the biggest complainer,
right,
was just picking at it.
Yeah.
So we were really, really confused. I wished I was sitting on the outside because it was a booth. If we had been sitting in chairs and a table, I would have got my ass up and left. Yes, I know a lot of people are saying, oh my God, you should have just kicked them out of the booth and left anyway. But yeah, I didn't want to create a scene. It was a busy restaurant. It's a nice place. I wasn't interested in having all eyes on me.
Well, and here's the thing. Do you add insult to injury? Do you continue to escalate it?
Right.
Or do you just kind of let it go and then sort it out later?
And run as fast as you can once you get away. Oh my God. So the check comes, we overtip. We may have walked up to the waitress and said, I apologize. And once we left the restaurant, we steered clear of them the rest of the night. Thank God it was a massive party and easy to get lost because I didn't want to see them ever again. And ironically, we've never seen, no, that's not true.
We ran into her at
a house party. And her behavior was the same. She sat in a corner while some other single guy came up and gave her food, brought her food to her table, and she had this whole look down her nose at everybody.
Yeah, we described it at the time as she was holding court.
Yes.
Which was very strange. This was a small house party. Like, this was not something super lavish, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
And the food was, mac and cheese and Spam and, it wasn't like elaborate, but maybe she just didn't want to be seen at the table because it was beneath her. Who knows? It was so weird. Oh my gosh. Anyway, red flag.
Lots of red flags with that particular one. So needless to say, we wrote them off. We haven't engaged them since then.
And they're gone. Thank goodness.
One of the other things that we've seen happen with couples is one of them is very quiet.
Yeah. And it's not just one is an introvert, one is an extrovert. It goes beyond that.
So we've met a number of couples in the lifestyle. It's not really common, but it happens often enough where you should be aware of this happening. And that's that the wife doesn't do any talking at all. And the husband basically answers for her.
Yeah, that's creepy. Well, I shouldn't say that because it could be a dom-sub relationship, but they haven't come forward and informed us that that's the role that they're displaying that evening. So we have sort of run into that early on where we weren't allowed to talk to her. We could only talk to him, but we figured that out years later and we didn't understand what was going on there.
Right. I think that was one of our first parties ever when that happened.
Yeah, it could be, but it may also not be. Knowing what I know now, if I run into that again, that would be the first question that I ask. Are you in a dom-sub relationship? If they don't disclose that, I can ask that. If they say no, then I know for sure, red flag.
Yeah. And the thing that's kind of weird for us is it really starts to bring up questions of consent. Like, are they on the same page? Are they telling the same story? And the body language there is they're not on the same page.
Right.
That the wife's kind of going along with it, or the husband. Like we're calling out the missus at this point, but it doesn't have to be that way. It could also be the husband, although it tends to be the wife. that's in this situation. Another interesting situation that's similar to this is where the couples it appears that they're on different pages. So the husband seems super gung-ho and all on board, but then you'll have one of those bathroom conversations with the wife, and something will come up that kind of pricks up your ears.
Yeah. They present well, and it seems like they're there with the same purpose. They're on the same page. Like you said, you have this conversation with the husband, the all thumbs up. I go to the bathroom, and she's hesitant. There's something, as you said, pricks my ears. And I go, they are not on the same page.
Right.
So this is a no-go. The last story we have is when the husband orders the wife around. Oh my gosh. We were at this party. It was so disturbing. I'm going to call him Cowboy because he's wearing a cowboy hat. And he was talking really fast. He was tearing at his wife's clothes. He's like, honey, you need to show more tit. And so he's like tugging at her blouse. He's trying to like kind of pull the buttons open instead of just gently unbuttoning her blouse, which there was no consent there, and he wasn't doing it in a nice, even asking in a nice way. He's tugging at her blouse, and I'm like,
right.
I'm like, well, that's rude. Why are you're demeaning your wife in front of us? That's not cool.
Yeah, it was, and it was almost worse than that at times, because it was like junior high school where the boys run up and like punch the girls because they like them. He was doing that kind of stuff with her, which was really weird. And it was so disappointing because they were a hot couple. Like, they dressed nicely. They were sexy for sure. And we were really into them.
Yeah.
Like,
we're like, yeah, let's have a chit chat. Let's make this happen. Let's see where this goes.
Literally, we walked across the dance floor to go talk to them. And as the conversation progressed, it was clear he was trying to peacock her in some way, right? Like really push her forward and go, no, really, you want to connect with us. Here's my wife.
Yeah, that was weird, awkward, strange.
Definitely a red flag.
Definitely a red flag. Yeah. Okay. Another thing that we've encountered that's a red flag is unreciprocated flirting, where one partner's standoffish and it's either going to be the wife or the husband. So it plays off of what we were talking about before, but the flirting isn't there. So sometimes, once again, it could be that one's an extrovert, one's an introvert, one's not really great at flirting. Could be that they've not been in the lifestyle very long. They've been married 30 years. They don't even know how to flirt anymore. I mean, that's kind of how I was. I mean, we hadn't been in a relationship for a long time when we first started swinging, but I felt like I sucked at flirting. I had to really up my flirt game.
I wouldn't say you were bad at it, but yes, I think you were uncomfortable with it.
I was uncomfortable with it.
Yeah.
You were really good at it.
I like flirting. I'm a big flirt.
Why I was uncomfortable with it was because in the past, flirting got a lot of unwanted attention when I just was trying to flirt. It went from 0 to 100. I would be a good listener, or I'd give some flirty eyes or a little shrug of a shoulder or something, shift my pose, right? The things that we do when we flirt, bat the eyes, like I said. And all of a sudden that meant I want to go to bed with you. I'm like, no. Like, wait, we were having a really nice conversation here. And so men actually trained me not to flirt because they went so far with it. I didn't know what to do with that.
Right.
Because now we're way down the road and I'm still back here at the stop sign.
Yeah, guys tend to go with it and they get the slightest green light, and they're just gonna go in for it. So I get that. This one's very similar to the previous examples that we were giving, where you're getting mixed signals, and some of it's nerves, some of it's just not being ready, some of that's the husband's maybe had a little bit more to drink than the wife. I've definitely been in that situation before, where my flirt gets extra when I when I drink a little bit. I start writing a lot of checks. But it can be other things too. It could just be that one of them is tired. They had a long week. And so you kind of have to give them a little bit of, maybe it's not a red flag yet,
right?
But watch for this as a pattern. Like every time you get together with them, if it seems to be the same, that could very well be the red flag.
Right. If you're really looking for a stronger connection, you really want to know them well, take the time, don't have sex with them that night, meet them again. And if the pattern still exists, then that may be the red flag.
Right. The big red flag with this not being on the same page absolutely has to come down to, and I would say this is the quintessential drama that happens that everybody talks about.
Okay.
The no drama couple, and that's that the partners are actually having a fight. Now, we haven't seen that very much.
No.
A couple times, and to be honest, the one time we saw it was the husband was like chasing women around and we found out later it was actually cheating on his wife. So I get why they were fighting. That makes a whole lot of sense.
Right. People are pretty good at parties. If they need to have a conversation, they step to the side, they go to the bathroom, they go to a bedroom, close a door, have a conversation. Most people are nice. They don't disrupt the whole party and become a spectacle.
And I would say if I saw a couple that was clearly having some kind of a disconnect, and they did remove themselves from the situation and went off to a quiet place, in my mind, that is not drama.
Correct.
If anything, that's a sign of emotional maturity, relationship maturity. They are taking the higher road and not inflicting their whatever issue it was on everybody else, and not disturbing the party. Like they're just going to go take care of it and handle it on their own.
Yeah, I agree.
That to me, that's actually a green flag. Like that's, good couple. Now, I might not go approach them that night, but it would definitely be one of those things where if they came back and they approached us, who knows? Maybe they were having a conversation about, well, do you want to really hook up with that couple?
Right.
Yeah, maybe. Okay. Yeah, let's do it.
Now, experience and confidence plays into it. Nerves. If someone's talking too much, they can be a red flag because you may not. They may be all in and may be all gas and maybe not be listening or as accommodating. So that could be a red flag. Comfort levels and their play style basically is going to shift a little bit with experience and confidence.
And I think with the kind of talking over you and your conversation and really being overly vocal can be a red flag in terms of compatibility. So if they have a hard time socializing or it's really awkward conversation with them, it's not necessarily that they're a bad couple, but they may not be a good match for you, because your conversation style doesn't pair up very well and you don't feel like you're compatible. Where that also comes into play, and this may be not a red flag, but maybe an orange flag, like caution, and that's their play style is not what you're looking for.
Right.
And I view that more as just an incompatibility and not necessarily a red flag. So they're soft and you're full and they're not interested in negotiating, which I can understand going from soft to full, but maybe they're full and you're soft. And, just being accommodating to play at that level.
So they're talking a lot and not really being a good listener, not asking those questions, not really wanting to engage with you and have that dialogue as to what type of experience you would like that evening, which basically comes down to consent.
Yeah.
Right? It's a consensual dialogue. So if you're busy yapping and saying, you like this and we do this and we do that and we do that, well, what about me? What do I like?
Right.
Did you ask me what I like? Did you ask me what I prefer? Right? It's nice to be asked.
100%. And you can kind of look at this as once you get into the playroom and you're engaging with this couple, if they haven't been paying attention to what you're saying and they start doing things that are maybe pushing through your boundaries or just ignoring your boundaries, that's 100% a red flag.
Yeah. Yeah. And then get up and run.
Run. Yeah, I definitely think it's an opportunity to just say, hey, thanks, but we're going to go. We'd had some boundaries and those got missed. I mean, I might let them know, but for sure, you don't need to sit there and take that for sure. Just back off.
Yeah, and of course, if it's really egregious, then you definitely want to alert any room monitors and the promoter, and then they'll get security and handle it from there.
Right, especially if it's kind of crossed into that kind of rapey situation. Yeah,
which is not good. But we've never experienced that. We've
not directly for sure. We've been at a party where a woman was overly aggressive and doing things with the male partner from another couple that we knew.
Oh yeah.
And
honestly, I categorize that as sexual assault, what she did.
Yeah. Yeah.
She really did.
It really was not consensual. No. And they...
To several guys, at least 2, possibly 3, I know 2 for sure, have reported to us.
Yeah.
And they were really uncomfortable with it and won't be going back to that house party.
Yeah, that's actually a different example. Okay, so we have 2 examples of that.
Oh, God.
But yes, the one I was thinking of, there was a couple where the woman was on top and she just kind of went full swap with the husband, and they were not a full swap couple.
Right. She grabbed his penis, shoved it in.
Right.
And yeah.
And they were both very upset by that and ended up having to leave the party. And I don't think we saw them again until the next party, but we'd had some conversations with them. Mm-hmm. We'd reached out to them directly because we'd heard from the host that had happened, and they were...
We knew them. Yeah.
And we wanted to offer some sympathy and an opportunity to talk to us about it if they wanted to. But yeah.
Yeah. And then
red flag for sure.
Red flag for sure. Then the other party, the 2 gentlemen had this woman at the house party. She just straight up walked up to the guy, opened his pants, pulled him down, and stuck his cock in her mouth.
Right.
And they were shocked, like really upset. And it was very humbling to me to hear that from a man, to be able to disclose that, because, and I'm just getting chills because I felt so horrible on 2 accounts. One, that experience happened to them, 2 individual guys, basically the same thing. And 2, that as women, we go, men, all men like attention, and all men like, they're happy just to, you right. Jokingly say,
yeah, there's no such thing as a bad blowjob.
There's no such thing as a bad blowjob. Right. I'll take anything. A hand is a hand. Right.
$20 is $20.
Right. So you get this narrative stuck in your head. And then when somebody actually says that, you're like, wow, you actually did not like that. That was offensive to you.
Right.
You were really turned off by that. And one of the guys just left, like right after that, just left the party.
Yeah, you start to have that realization that
you know,
sometimes men have feelings too.
Right? I know. I mean, it's sad that we don't think that, but we do. Is at least I, as a woman, I look to you as my rock. You're the foundation. I get to go bouncy all over the place, but I can always count on you to be there for me, to ground me. And I don't know if other women feel that same way, but I do. I rely on you to be the steady, the constant. And so I don't think of men as, not that emotions are weak, but you know where I'm saying that you think men don't have emotions. They can't be affected by that because any attention is good attention. Well, no, that's not the case.
Yeah. And we understand that everybody has personal preferences. Everybody's not going to be into it. We've had this conversation with bisexuality for sure with women, where it's like, just because a woman's bi doesn't mean she wants every woman going down on her, or that she wants to go down on every woman, or wants to make out with every woman.
Right. Like the lady on the massage table with me.
Right.
That was essentially sexual assault on me.
Yes.
I said 3 times, I only want a massage. Do not touch any genitals. And this woman was just, her fingers, oh my God.
She was gropey fingers.
She was gropey fingers. 3 times.
Right.
The first time it got close, I smacked her hand away. Second time it got closer. Third time, she got like 1 digit in there, and I was like, that's it, I'm done. And then she had the gall to go, well, I'm bi. You're just so sexy. I really want you. Don't you like it? I'm like, oh my God, bitch, I want to smack you right now. And then the husband was like, well, he was like encouraging her. He was like her biggest cheerleader because she's bi. Well, okay, but that doesn't have anything to do with you sticking your fingers in me without consent.
Well, I mean, it goes back to the whole thing. It's like, okay, you're heterosexual. Does that mean that any random dude can come up and stick his fingers in? Like, no, it doesn't work like that. So why would it work with bisexuality? So for sure, that is a red flag.
Good Lord. Oh man, the experiences we've had. Okay.
Let's move out of rape for a second.
Let's move out of rape. Okay. This is getting dark.
It's gotten really dark. There's another thing that happens, and this has happened to us a few times, where couples just can't commit, or single males can't commit. And we know there are a number of you who are watching this or who are listening to this who can attest that the stereotype that single males are flaky gets perpetuated by this. So you send out a date request, give them a couple dates, couple times, nothing. They can't follow through. They can't commit, or they cancel at the last minute.
Yeah, and this isn't me being the pursuer. They were the pursuer, and then I respond. So I get that maybe if you misread the room, if you're doing the hunting, so to speak, the pursuing, then maybe you're like, wow, I guess he maybe wasn't that interested. But when they step forward and you engage, and you've got a sexy banter back and forth, and you think, yeah, we're all in, we're all go, we've got them dates on the calendar, all that, and then they ghost or flake. Yeah.
And that's hard, right? Because that really does kind of hit you in the ego, where you were like, okay, we were on, we were hot, and now we're not. What's going on? It's all hot and heavy and nothing.
Right. I know. That's been very disappointing for me. The single male, the hot and heavy exchange. Because I did like the texting. That was kind of fun. The little attention that you're getting, even though I'm not a big texter for getting to know people.
Right.
But when I was engaging a single male, I did enjoy that. And then you get all worked up, and then, like you said,
yeah. I kind of get it. There are reasons why people have changed their mind. Who knows what's going on in their relationship, et cetera, et cetera. But we always try to advise people that if there's a reason for it, you explain it. You let the other couple off the hook. God, give them a clue as to why maybe they're not interested in it anymore. And when we talked about the approach and closing in that episode, this is similar to that. And it gives the couple that's being rejected an opt-out, right? It gives them information so that they can move on and not feel like they're just being ignored or something. So it's always good to just give somebody a little bit of information so they can move on. Little closure. So every bad experience you have in the lifestyle may not be a red flag, but there are certainly a few things that should give you enough pause to consider whether you should pursue that any further or turn around and run away as fast as you can. So when you're evaluating these interactions with couples, take in mind their feelings, maybe their overall mood, if you've had positive interactions with them before. And we like to give couples at least a couple chances because first impressions, while they're important, they're not the only indicator of how a couple is. So give them a second chance, maybe even a third chance, depending on the situation. Was it at a house party? Was it too loud? Maybe they just don't like the loud noise. Maybe they need a little bit more engagement with you and they couldn't get that at that party. So give them a second chance, potentially.
I agree.
Now, there are certain things that we talked about where they're rude to waitstaff and overall just seem like maybe not good people.
Yeah.
Those are red flags enough for me to go, I don't need to see that again. I don't want to experience that again. Let's just cut our losses and move on.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you joining our community. Don't forget to do your homework, tell a friend about our show, and leave a review and comment. You can also leave us a voicemail at 916-538-0482 or contact us at university.com. And we have a cool new way for you to leave us a voicemail anonymously. Talk about that a little bit.
If you visit our website, swingeruniversity.com, on the contact page, there's a way for you to leave a little voicemail for us. We get the audio and it's all anonymous, so we have no idea who you are unless you tell us. You can leave a 90-second message, and if you do, we will put it in the episode and we'll talk about it. Assuming it's something that's for the episode or something that you want us to talk about. If you're just sending us happy messages, we're happy to take those as well. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can also now join our membership on YouTube. And there are extra perks there, just like we have on Patreon. So you get extra episodes, you get behind the scenes content, you get early releases of our YouTube episodes. So check it out on our membership page.
As always, keep learning, keep growing, and keep it sexy.